Welcome to Conversations with Verdel Jones. I'm your host, Verdel Jones, and being an educator at heart, I'm dedicated to sharing conversations that inform and enlighten in the hopes that you learn something you may not have known. We are so excited for today's show. We have some great guests. Before we get started, I want to make sure that I remind everybody to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Conversations with Verdel Jones, and also like our page on Facebook, Conversations with Verdel Jones. Like I said, we always have great guests and with great information to share, and today is no different. So I would like to introduce our first guest today. We have Terra Renee, and she is the founder and president of the African American Women in Cinema. So you know this is going to be a great conversation. And she's been doing that for over 22 years. And she's actually, like I said, the founder and president. So I'm really excited to talk to her about how she started this and why she started this. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce and bring in Terra Renee to Conversations with Verdel Jones.
Hi, Verdel. Thank you so much for having me. This is truly awesome. And you're doing such great work. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So let's get right into it because I'm thrilled to have you on as a guest.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. And you've been doing this for over 22 years. So explain to everybody what the African American Women in Cinema organization is all about.
When we started approximately 22 years ago, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have a whole lot of technology that we have access to now. As a matter of fact, it was buying the film, getting a camera. So we only had a choice of 16 millimeter or 35 millimeter. And that was a very expensive process. And in addition to trying to make an independent film, there were not a lot of opportunities for women of color filmmakers to get their works screened and shown on a larger platform. So that's what we were contending with when we got started. And when I saw that, I saw the need to create an entity where women of color can tell their stories, show their films to a supportive audience, and then we would make the public at large aware of this incredible talent that we have, that we definitely had existing then and even now. So that's what got us started doing this.
How did you get into film originally?
Well, that's a good question. I've been trying to figure that out, but I remember one time I was listening to an interview by J.Lo, and she was talking about how she got bit by the entertainment bug. I think that sort of happened to me. One day, I just sensed so strongly to get into entertainment. I didn't know what.
Right.
So I had this whole exploratory mission to find out, what exactly it was. And after volunteering, and I even went to a little side school called John Casablanca's. That actually kind of worked in its own way because I ended up getting an agent. Who booked me for my first gig, which was an extra in Rocky V.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so things progressed from there. Did extra work on commercials, AT&T, and Law and Order. But it was the one phone call that I got one day from a casting director who was hired by Warner Brothers, and they were looking for a tall African-American woman for an under 5 role. Now, under 5 role is a role that's under 5 lines. It's a very small role. A lot of the times they don't even make the movies, end up on the cutting room floor. But anyway, so when I got the call, I was super excited. I just knew I had the role. All I had to do was just show up. But when I showed up at the audition site, I was in so much shock at how many women fit the bill. And that's what piqued my interest, because I said it could not possibly be, this competitive unless there's not enough opportunities. And so I started researching and started looking at stats. And when I start seeing numbers like 0.03% of women of color getting, directorial work, or the actors union, it was a low percentage there. I said, wow. So the advocacy in me just rose up and said, no, we have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And little did I know, I was on a track to something that's really blossoming in ways that I couldn't even imagine now.
That's, and it's about that opportunity. And I'm glad that you said that, because that leads me into one of the things that I did want to talk to you about, the importance of us telling our story.
Yeah.
So how important is it for us to be able to share our experiences in this type of art form?
Very important. I, intuitively, I've been drawn to women filmmakers, and in particular, women filmmakers of color, because my ear seemed to be in tune with the style of story, the way that they tell the story. And when you have filmmakers like Casey Lemons, who did the film Talk to Me, and she also did Eve's Bayou, and her recent one was Harriet. Now, I've seen movies about Harriet Tubman, and I'm not trying to be biased because Casey is a woman of color, and she happened to be a good friend of mine.
Okay.
But when I saw Harriet, it was told in such a way that was so inspirational, inspiring. And it really, she put a perspective on it that I didn't really, see before. And case in point, just want to share that perspective. It was amazing when Harriet, she freed herself, then she went back and got more slaves. And when she walked into the gentleman's office and he turned his chair around, he was so blown away. He said, how are you doing this? How are you getting these people, through this very dangerous trek? And that was interesting. That level of acknowledgement, and the fact that she didn't realize what she was doing because it was a gifting, a call on her life. And so, it's those types of elements that are really brought to the forefront that really speak loud.
And it's kind of subtle. It's just in the way that you kind of present it, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And we need those voices, and you do notice when there is a woman, I think, like you said, who is creating this work, because it is a different perspective that you might not see, in mainstream, so to speak, right? So now, how does your organization, the AAWIC, how do you screen films, but what is it that individuals who are tuning in and listening, how can they support, or how can they be a part of? Like, how does that work? Because a lot of people are interested in media and being in that industry also. So how do people get involved, and what types of things do you do on a day-to-day that people can engage in?
Well, we normally have an annual film festival that happens every March. And we were in the throes of our 22nd annual film festival this past March, and the pandemic outbreak. And so, but when that happened, I tell you, the creativity juices had to flow.
Right.
And thank God. So what we were able to do, while we worked on how we were going to proceed with the festival, we end up doing these monthly media series where we showcase women filmmakers of color every month, and the audience get to participate by watching the films and support these types of films. Now we're launching into the educational series that's going to start at the end of January, and folks who are interested in learning more about the film industry, there's several aspects that we're going to be focusing on, from writing to producing to directing. So they'll be able to tune in and learn from industry professionals, get some pointers there.
I love
And
that.
also later in the year, we're going to be doing a couple of programs where we will be showcasing more films and having educational workshops.
Mm.
So those who have films and or want to learn more, they'll be able to certainly connect with our organization, and we'll be able to direct them as to how they can get involved, submitting their film, or they just want to learn more about their craft.
That's awesome. And so many people have had to pivot
Yeah.
with, with the pandemic and finding a way to do what they want to do or love to do or have to do, just to make it. So I love the educational series. That's going to be awesome. So, and can people support your organization as well?
Yes.
Like fun, because I know, these things cost.
Oh yeah. Oh boy. Yes, they do. Yes. We are a 501(c)(3), and so you can certainly make donations there. We will provide you with the letter for tax deductible purposes. You can certainly go to our website, which is www.aawic.org. And there is a tab on the homepage that you can click on that says donations. And interestingly enough, Verdel, we just adopted a orphanage from Africa where we will be supporting young little babies, and which I see as our next generation, possibly of even filmmakers and producers.
Right.
And we are going to, within that community, as soon as we get past the pandemic, we will be doing film screenings and educational workshops to those within that community where that orphanage is. So that way we can start influencing the next generation of filmmakers and show them what we know, and encourage their storytelling in this form.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now, do you still, act and create, and, if so, what are you currently working on, or what are you hoping to, have come out, or?
Well, I have to blow the dust off my acting book. But in the meantime, I was blessed to produce a couple of films, which I'm super excited about. One is a documentary on the one of the American gospel singer icons, Marion Williams. Way back in the day, she was a superstar in the 50s, 60s. Langston Hughes had written Black Nativity. She actually performed it in Europe and actually ended up staying there for over a year. They loved her. But she was the inspiration to Little Richard. He said that's where he got his holler from.
Wow.
Later, she was honored by President Bill Clinton for at the Kennedy Center honors, and also she was, I believe, the first African American woman gospel singer to receive the MacArthur's Genius Award, and that was pretty huge. So she was very inspirational. I can't wait for you all to see this documentary. It's very powerful. And then also I did a documentary on Mr. Alfredo Versace. Now, a lot of people have heard of his family member, Johnny Versace.
Yes. Okay.
Alfredo actually came out before Johnny, but he was in charge of the European market. And boy, does he have a story.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Some exciting things coming up.
Yeah.
We can't wait. So, Terra, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on Conversations with Verdel Jones. I want to make sure that just let people know where they can find you again, because we want to, have them engaged and watching what's going on.
Sure. You can go to our website, which is www.aawic.org. And you can email us at info@aawic.org.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And, you know, we need to get this information out because it's so important. And I love the work that you're doing to encourage future filmmakers. And this education series is going to be awesome because there's not a lot of us in the industry. So this is important work. So I want to thank you so much for being a guest on Conversations with Verdel Jones.
Thank you so much for having me, Verdel. You're doing such a great work. We need you, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you. So again, I want to thank Terra for being a guest, and make sure that you check out their website for more information. We are going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. This is our 6th season of Conversations with Verdel Jones. If you're interested in supporting quality content or you want to grow your brand, make sure you visit our website at verdeljones.com to get more information on how to be a sponsor or advertise on our show.
Hi, I'm Dan O'Shea, Executive Director for Lawrence Haven Homeless Outreach. It is our mission to support the homeless in our community, and we do that with the support of so many volunteers just like yourself. To help us, please go to www.lawrencehaven.org.
Welcome back to Conversations with Verdel Jones. We have an awesome guest coming up next, and she's going to be talking about your finances and credit and what she does to help people with that area. You know, we all could use a little help, especially after the holidays, with finances and credit. She is also the host of a new show called She Does Credit. So we're going to talk about that as well. So I would like to introduce to everyone Elissa Costanza. She's the owner and founder of She Does Credit. So we are really excited to have her. So I am going to ask her, bring her right on in so we can get started. Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, we're going to jump right into it because, you know, we just got over the holidays. So people probably are a little, have a little less money in their pocket than they did. Yeah. And that's one of your expertise. That's what you do. She Does Credit. So tell us a little bit about how you got started with helping people with their finances and credit, and then we can get into some of the nuts and bolts of what you do.
So a few years ago, I wanted to purchase a home. It was my first home. And what happened was no one told me about credit. You know, my parents never wanted me to go into debt or have a credit card and things like that. And it was always a goal of mine to purchase a home, but I just didn't know how to get there. So I was doing a lot of research and I found first-time homebuyer programs. So when I saw these first-time homebuyer programs, what clicked to me was that I needed to work on my credit. But I never took that really seriously because I was like, you know, I could wait. I don't need this right now. Like, this is just another expense. And, you know, those down payment assistance programs are blessings to those who qualify because, you know, that could really help you. So I immediately got started with a program. My score went up 69 points in 1 month. I qualified for, you know, these different housing programs, and I was receiving over $100,000 worth of down payment assistance. So then I just learned the power of credit and how to leverage it. I fell in love with it. I became really passionate. And a lot of people were moving at that time. They were moving to different places, in particular the South, because they were just like, you know, if I'll save money by moving. But really, the key is financial literacy, because if you can't handle what's going on here, you know, yes, like living is cheaper down there. Yes. But if you can't handle what's going on up here, it'll be the same thing going on down there. Right. So I was telling all of my family and friends about these assistance programs to help them get into homes. You know, fast forward, you know, I'm not working at corporate America anymore. I've been doing this full time for over 2 years, but I've been in business for 3 years, going on 4. So you know, I just fell in love with the power of credit and learning finances and how to help people, because a lot of people don't know what's going on and they don't understand it.
Right,
so
absolutely.
I became the She and She Does Credit.
that is awesome. So let's just go back to the amount of assistance you were able to get as a, I guess, a first-time home buyer. $100,000 is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah. It was with different programs, but I have to be honest and tell you that it was with 3 programs. One of them upped the price. It went from 14 to 20,000. Wow. Then another one was giving me $80,000. But what happened was we were building a brand new home, but I no longer qualify for those, because I'm not saying that I was low income, but I make more than that now. So I didn't qualify. And actually what happened with that second program, in all honesty, is that the case manager gave the home away to someone else when she told me I had it. Wow. So it didn't work out, but still, it's the power of credit. There's so many different programs out there to help you get a home.
So now, do you help people find those programs and walk them through that? Because I know there's first-time homebuyer programs, but I didn't realize that there were so much monies available for assistance for down payments. And that's really where a lot of people get stuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why, you know, I was studying to become a realtor. I work in the mortgage field as well. I do help guide people through that because I've been through it. So I know what they're looking for, what they want. I have different programs to literally guide people along that way to help keep you sanctioned in that, because, you know, people just think, oh, I have money for a down payment, this, and that. I just helped one of my best friends. We're working on getting her a home. She didn't think it was possible with everything going on with the coronavirus and, you know, having different jobs and things like that. It is possible. There are things out there to help us. We just have to obtain it. Everything's literally there for us within our reach. We just need to get it.
Right. Or have someone like you to help us through it. Because, you know, since you, and that's the beauty of hiring an expert in this area, because, you know, we could do the research, but it is very time consuming and we might not be looking or getting the best bang for a buck, so to speak, you know? So tell us about how you help individuals with their credit, because you did mention credit and the importance of credit, and your company name is She Does Credit. So what is that about, and how do you educate people and help them with their credit? And why is credit so important?
So credit is super, super important because you can't always use cash. The thing is with cash, there's a saying that cash is king, but credit is power, you know? And the biggest thing with that is that you could only have so much cash on you. What the banks and lenders are looking for is like a history of, you know, to make sure that you're qualified for these loans. You know, if you're not making your payments on time, if you're like charging off and maxing out your credit cards, you know, things like that, it's like, would you lend to you? Are you that credible person? They're really looking at that history, and especially with people losing their jobs or whatever, they want to see that, okay, at least you could lean on your credit, and your credit score is good because it's telling a history. It's like your adult report card. Right. You know, my credit has helped me in so many different ways to leverage for business reasons. You know, it's all about, you deserve that life.
Yeah. So now what is a good credit score?
7. Well, people think 700, but it's really like 750 and above.
Okay. Okay. Now, and I also heard in reference to credit that you can find out what your credit score is and, you know, do that research or whatever, but do banks look at a different credit score? Like, do they look at something different other than what we're seeing? You know, like, is our score and that helps us, you know?
Right. Well, what I will say is that what reports to one bureau won't report to the other bureaus. Okay. So you could look on Credit Karma or these other credit apps, but the thing is that sometimes they're fluctuated and they're not reporting from all 3 bureaus. So let's say I have like 5 negative items with TransUnion. I could have 10 with Experian and 15 with Equifax. That's why your scores are a little different. Most lenders are looking at that middle score. a lot of lenders, I know they're looking at, you know, I don't want to sound like in favoritism, but Experian, in my experience. But you want to make sure you have to really review your credit profiles and see what's on there that maybe you're not aware of. You know, maybe you had a late payment that it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize this.
Right.
Maybe that's something you don't recognize. You know.
And how often should you look at your credit or review your credit?
Oh, at least every month. You know, you could get your free credit reports through the bureaus.
Okay.
Or through freeannualcreditreport.com.
So how do you help people? How do you really, what is the nitty gritty? What do you teach people, or how do you help them to improve their credit score? Because that's what we want to do. Everyone wants to lift their credit score. How do you do that?
So really, first off, I start with the consultation. So I would like to know what the person is working with, what their goals are, whether it's to buy a car, get a home, refinance, start a business, anything like that. I do a consultation and I let them know exactly what's going on with their credit, whether they have to pay off these cards, you know, lower their debt to income ratio, just giving them advice, really. But we work with all 3 credit bureaus at the same time. So the thing about me is I'm backed up by credit attorneys, and I'm also partnered with the student loan program that's helped a lot of people and a lot of my clients, because a lot of people have that debt or, you know, negative items from the student loans. And, you know, we see if they're eligible for forgiveness, lower payments, consolidation, things like that. So that's separate, but we're partnered with them, but it works hand in hand. But I also educate people on financial literacy, because while we help you to establish better credit, I want you to like get better and stay there. You know, it's all about financial literacy as well.
Right. You don't want to, in other words, you don't want them to go back to where they were. You want them to forge ahead. So how long does it take for someone to actually go through the process of improving their credit?
So usually the bureaus report every 30 to 45 days. So if you get in touch with whoever you have a loan with or a credit card with, you could look on your statements, like your statement closing and ending date, right? And you could actually call them and see when they start reporting. Everyone's different. But typically the bureaus always have 30 to 45 days to respond, because it's like an investigation. So literally everything that's on your credit report is an investigation. Like let's say you were late on this credit card. They're getting in touch with that credit card. Let's say you have a collections from the hospital, you know, a medical collections. They're getting in touch with the hospital. Let's say you have a late payment with a membership that you had. They're getting in touch with that place, you know? So typically, you know, I've seen results sooner than that, but to be on the safe side, I always say 45 to 90 days, but it's also dependent on that person. Because if we have a timeline, you know, set out for you, and it's like you're not on it like that, like I'm telling you to be on it, that's your progress. You know, things happen, people get busy, but
right, you have to be disciplined, and you have to be ready to want to do this, basically. What is one tip you can give someone to make sure that their credit score is solid? What's one tip that you can give them?
Don't go broke trying to impress broke people. No, I'm just kidding. It's like one thing that that's the thing, especially with the holidays, people are showing out. And it's like, if you can't afford certain things, you know, those credit is so easy to get into debt. Especially with the holidays, people are maxing out their credit cards. It's affecting you in every which way. Now you don't have the money to pay it. Now you're missing a payment. What I will say is to really, you know, learn financial literacy, be on more top of, you know, your stuff, learn how to budget, discipline yourself. If you have a goal set in mind, that's it. You know, just because you have money doesn't mean you always have to spend it.
Right. Very true.
I had to learn it.
It's a learned behavior. Absolutely. So you are also the host of your own show called She Does Credit. So tell everybody about that. What is the show about? Where can we see it and all of that?
So, you know, I am the She Does Credit. It just like came about because I've helped a lot of people. So you could actually find me on the Roof Rangers Network, YouTube, Pandora, all major platforms. I'll be on cable TV too, so make sure you check your local listings. But I do make my official debut on January 19th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. And what can people expect from your show?
Listen, we're talking about everything, credit, finances, and getting you right. And I know credit and finances could be boring, but I'm not. So that's why I have the show.
I love it. I love it. So how can people contact you, get in touch with you? And, you know, this is a service that you're providing. So we want to make sure that people know it's available. And we also want to make sure that you get some, you know, get some business. So how can people get in contact with you?
So a lot of people contact me on social media. I have a Facebook. I get maxed out a lot, so I have to delete people. I'm sorry. But my Facebook is Elissa Costanza. I'll spell it out because I know it's hard to spell. So it's Elissa, and my last name is Costanza. And then my Instagram is She Does Credit. My personal Instagram is Elissa J. Co, Elissa J. Co. My email is shedoescredit@gmail.com. I also have a website, shedoescredit.com.
Awesome, 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 awesome. So I want to thank you so much for being a guest on Conversations with Verdel Jones.
It was an honor. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Again, thank you so much for watching Conversations with Verdel Jones. We always have great guests and great conversations with a lot of information that's useful for everyone. So we will see you next time. Thank you.